I believe a cabal of secret societies has controlled the world for over 200 years, and we get to be alive at a time to see it fall. I believe that Satan incited the Jews to scream, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" And it totally backfired when Jesus said, "Forgive them. They don't know what they do." I believe that the deep state or shadow government is trying to destroy America, and that soon those involved are going to be completely exposed as America unites to destroy the deep state. I believe that we have an omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent God that has put his hand on this moment in time to deny the enemy's timeline and is about to heal our land. I believe that the worldwide news media simply repeats 4 a.m. talking points produced by this criminal cabal, and that it will soon be exposed for the entire world to see. I believe that all the world religions tell you that to get to heaven you have to earn your way to heaven with your works. But only Christianity teaches that it's by faith alone. And for me to get to heaven, it's 100% Jesus and 0% me. And for you to get to heaven, it's 100% Jesus and 0% you. I believe that George Soros is funding violent socialist groups to destroy America. And it will totally backfire as America wakes up, unites, and takes their country back. I believe that Satan wants you to live in fear, so he can feed off your fear. That God has raised up an army of God, his remnant, his red-pilled Christian patriots that will help defeat Satan and the New World Order because of our faith. I believe that the patriots have legally established over 150,000 sealed indictments that will soon be unsealed. And we finally will see justice established with military tribunals. I believe that Jesus' death on the cross was a complete victory over Satan, and that his victory allows all of your past, present, and future sins to be forgiven so that you can live the abundant life. And I believe in the power of one person working as a team with other Christian patriots can have massive impact in reversing this ungodly culture. And I believe that Obama and Hillary were exercising a 16-year plan to destroy America. And the Lord God Almighty saved us by allowing Hillary to be defeated by an anointed Donald J. Trump. My name is Rick. And I believe that when I'm preparing to teach something, I end up forcing myself to learn it more deeply, and I get blessed from what I learn. Therefore, I'm blessed to teach. And I believe that God has called me to empower Christian patriots with truth. And that's why I invite you to join us at blessedtoteach.com. That's blessed with the number 2, teach.com. God bless you, and I hope you'll join me and all the Blessed to Teach patriots. All right, here we are on the main channel for the first time in 3 months. Can you believe it's been that much time? How crazy is that? And I'm going to flip back to a couple of things here. Come on, Tucker, don't do that to me. Get out of my way. But we're looking at Perjury now. We're talking, after the show, we'll expose the pedogate with Gene Backstage, but we're going to be focusing here front stage on a bunch of winning we're doing, including Sally Yates using 4 a.m. talking points of the protection of Obama and Biden instead of telling the truth. So they don't care if they convert perjury. They don't care if they commit illegal acts that they'll get sued for later, because why? They need to get rid of Trump at all costs. And we're winning. This is the time for faith, not fear. The media wants you to just be in fear. So be careful of watching too much of the media right now. Make sure you are focused on the Word of God. Make sure you are focused on your Lord God Almighty and His plan. And you will end up having an incredible calmness, that peace that transcends all understanding. People will see that, and it'll transcend and go across many places. So I'm asking you to believe what I just put on that 4-minute video there, right? Believe. Go back and play that again. It's also on the front page of the show on this channel as well. And to get that going around, because that I believe statement is about exactly what's going to happen. The fall of the cabal, the faith in our remnant actually working with the Lord in a mighty way, and the white hats to see amazing things happen. I see a bunch of people on. Just wanted to say hi real quick. I see we have, it looks like we have the wrenches turned on this channel. That's good news. I see Brenda Quinones was her first. New York City was on very first, in Long Island. Michael, thank you for being on from Long Island. Where are you guys all from real quick? I tell you what, it's been really, really crazy to see the fear that Satan's trying to get through everyone, including the remnant here. So I really want to focus this one on our winning and what we can do to actually have that peace that transcends understanding that other people will see. So I see people coming in now. We see Florida, Cleveland, Ohio, BC, Canada. First time here, says Linda Roberts. Thanks for being here. Becky says hi, Rick. And hello from Canada, says Annette. We got Australia in the house with Marion. And wow, lots of people. Ohio, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Canada, Kansas. Thank you guys all for being on. We are going to continue to roll here because we have a lot to cover. Now, just to let you know, the last Q drop was right here. It was 4620, a classic. Lou, one of our moderators, actually did an awesome job doing a full pictorial, grabbing documents, kind of decoding this whole 4620 in the last show. So make sure you catch that. That was Monday night. And infiltration, and really just a beautiful, beautiful verse that culminates in welcome to the revolution. And that revolution is not only them trying to overthrow the government, but it's also us waking up. And that is the most powerful thing that's actually happening here. I tell you what, and it's kind of fun to see what's going on. We got General Flynn being able to talk a little bit more now. And here's a meme that says, per God's holy word and General Flynn, be not afraid. That's an order, not a suggestion. And that is so important. Remember, because Satan feeds off fear. So if you are looking at a channel that's telling you 80%, 90%, I saw one today, true information, and then that 10% telling you things like Jesus didn't exist, I'm sorry, we have massive evidence of the historical Jesus getting into a lot of information that's just wrong, even though it's really good information, to most of it. That is what Q warned us of. Be careful who you follow, because that 10% is the area that the enemy's trying to get into, right? So I pray every time before this we go live that only truth's on this channel. So if you find something wrong, let us know, and we'll keep truth rolling here for you, so you didn't get that 10 or 15% incorrect information, right? Let me talk about my sponsor. These guys have been with me from the beginning. This is Noble Gold. In fact, I'm working right now. I almost got a good percentage of my stuff moved over to silver now. Mainly because it's not financial advice, but silver, when gold was at 1900 last time, was at $50. And now it's like 26 or 27, I think it is. So I was going, wow, I'm gonna try that action. But getting some of your portfolio over to precious metals just makes sense, at least a percentage of it. That's what most financial experts will tell you. And if you've seen gold and silver lately, whoa, gold just made history. In fact, it just went over 2,000, and Bloomberg had said it was going to go past 2,000 just a couple of weeks ago, and it sure did. Bank of America said it's going to go to 3,000 in 18 months. There's a billionaire, Kaplan, predicted the new decade-long bull market will push past 5,000 an ounce. So if you're sick of low returns, hassles, and volatility, it's time to look at gold and silver. Choose precious metals with Noble Gold and move to an RA to the 401k this month. And you may even get a free, that 5-ounce silver America the Beautiful coin is still on the table here. The coin has gone up by 17%, and this offer started in July. So again, go call this 877-646-5347. I'm talking to Josh. He's the one helping me, but there's a lot of great people over there at Noble Gold. 877-646-5347. And protect your investments with a gold or silver IRA. All right. Look at this. This is the People's General, and this is our own Amy Mercia Twitter account. Make sure you follow her at Platinum Nurse. You'll see right there. wife of active duty Marine, nurse, and a true patriot. Love our country and our POTUS. MAGA CAG, dark to light. JKJL, where we go, one we go all, is where she is on Parler. So that's interesting. If I guess it's JKJL, and all that would be at Parler. Platinum ER nurse on Parler, it looks like. So anyway, follow Amy. But she says, the People's General, General Flynn, leading the call to Americans to stand up and be bold in our beliefs, values, and our freedoms. It is time for Americans to be fearless and unafraid to speak out and remind others of what's at stake. God bless America. Woo! That's a great summary, Amy, of what was said here. And so this is in the westernjournal.com, where we have a real clear message from General Flynn, and we can read it here. But I thought I'd also talk about Lou. Lou here. He's Parler. He's Lou17 on Twitter. He's Lou17U. And he actually put this into a little graphic for us. This is exclusive from General Flynn. This is my letter to America, says Flynn. We are witnessing a vicious assault by enemies of all that is good, and our president is having to act in ways unprecedented in decades, maybe centuries. The biblical nature of good versus evil cannot be discontinued as we examine what is happening on the streets of America. It's Marxism in the form of Antifa and Black Lives Matter movement versus our very capable and very underappreciated law enforcement professionals, the vast majority of whom are fighting to provide us safe and secure homes, streets, and communities. When the destiny of the United States is at stake, and it is, and the very future of the entire world is threatened, as Christians, shouldn't we act? We recognize that divine providence is the ultimate judge of our destiny. Achieving our destiny as a freedom-loving nation, providence compels us to do our part in our communities. Again, this is a letter from General Flynn. It encourages us in this battle against the forces of evil to face our fears head on. No enemy on earth is stronger than the united forces of God-fearing, freedom-loving people. We can no longer pretend that these dark forces are going to go away by mere prayer alone. Prayers matter, but action is required. This action is needed at the local, state, and federal levels. Action is also required in the economic, media, clerical, and ecclesiastical realms. Decide how you can act within your abilities. Stand up and state your beliefs. Be proud of who you are and what you stand for. And face head-on those community leaders who are willing to allow dark forces to go beyond peaceful protests and destroy and violate your safety and security. Churches and houses of worship must return to normal. We invite everyone of goodwill not to shirk their responsibilities. Instead, act in a fraternal fashion. If for no other reason or with no other ability, act in a spirit of charity. We cannot disrespect or disregard natural law along with our own religious liberties and freedoms. I am witnessing elderly people lose their connection to all that is good in their lives, connection to their faith, their families, and their individual freedoms, especially the simple act of attending church, something they've been doing for decades. Let's not be intimidated or fear those who cry out that we are in the minority. We are not. Good is always more powerful and will prevail over evil. Woo! And I'm telling you what, this is General Flynn speaking some truth. And it is so important. This is what happens when we signed the 501c3 in our churches and we stopped talking politically. We stopped getting involved. We were more involved in God, family, and football is what Vince Lombardi would say, your job. And we ignored the arts and entertainment. We ignored academia. We ignored a lot of these cultural impact areas that just got overtaken. When Hollywood and media and arts and entertainment completely got taken over, those three areas overtook all the other areas of influence. So that is why I'm launching this new course about training you how to share your truth with impact to others. And eventually the next course would be go right into the cultural impact system so we can fight this in all 7 of these areas of cultural influence. It's going to be an exciting time. I think now is the time for me to relaunch what I had launched probably a little early, about a year and a half ago. and we've refreshed it, made it an incredible journey for you guys, and I'm looking forward to that. And here's Donald J. Trump saying, and yet crickets from the media. What's he talking about? He's talking about Sally Yates. So she testifies that she would not have signed off on the surveillance of Carter Page if she knew what she knows now. That follows Rod Rosenstein saying the same thing. So I believe that's perjury. I believe Obama, Biden, Sally all knew exactly what was happening. They were trying to overthrow and basically influence an election and then overthrow the one who actually duly elected president. That's just facts. That's going to come out. But right now, she's taking the 4 a.m. talking points side of things. It's really interesting. So this is a whole thread on this with John Turley's talking about it. And here we can see the next one says, Yates also confirmed that the Logan Act was raised in the meeting with President Obama on Flynn. Yet she stated that the concern was that the Trump National Security Advisor had undermined the Obama administration by encouraging them not to retaliate. So this is important because the Logan Act, according to some of the notes that one of the officers took, was raised by Biden. So Biden said he didn't unmask, and Biden lied about all kinds of things, and he said he didn't know about this. He clearly did. He was the one who brought up the Logan Act. Yates said that you could say that Comey went rogue in ordering the Flynn interviews. There she is throwing Comey under the bus. Yates is struggling with the Logan Act issue since Flynn was speaking as the NS advisor who was coming into the office in less than 2 weeks. Comey reportedly said that Flynn meeting was legit. I mean, obviously, if you're the incoming national security advisor, you should be getting ready and talking to the ambassadors from all the other countries if you have time, right? So to say that broke the Logan Act is insane, right? Especially because nobody's ever been prosecuted under it, number one. If anybody ever broke the Logan Act, it's clearly like John Kerry, right? And Obama, who's going around on the Trump, mirroring Trump trips. Here's John Turley. However, Yates legitimately objected to the interruption of the efforts to answer. This is precisely what happened in the Barr hearing, and both parties used this tactic. In the meantime, some of us would like to hear the answers to those important questions. And there's a full article on it that you can dig into it, but that's kind of a quick summary on what happened with Sally Yates. Here's Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch's take on this. He says, Yates throws Comey under the bus. Don't be fooled. She illicitly targeted at General Flynn and real Donald Trump too, but disagreed with Comey on its tactics. So you will find out exactly what Tom just said here. We have a lot of other evidence that she committed perjury. Again, but these guys are very sick or protecting extremely sick people. And now when I'm talking sick, I'm talking about pedophilia. That's what Gene's going to be talking about backstage. For those of you, it's very graphic, so don't join today unless you really want to know. He's going to be going into a little bit of the guardians of the pedophiles. So get a backstage patch and join us here right after the show for that. Hallie nailed it. Here's a couple-minute overview. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but he does a really good overview of exactly what happened. Here it goes.
No, from Steele himself. Steele told the IG that Steele told the FBI in July of 2016 that he'd been hired by the Democrats. We also know that your deputy, Bruce Orr, knew that Steele was working for the Democrats. And the same deputy, Bruce Orr, your deputy, while he was working for you, was actively facilitating contacts between the FBI and Steele, and also between the State Department and Steele. How did this happen on your watch? Is it normal for you to permit your deputies to facilitate contacts between political parties and the FBI and the State Department? Is that routine behavior?
So it's interesting. So she's remote here in this, and he can't hear her, so she repeats it twice. But you'll hear her. I'm only going to play it once here, but here she goes.
Permitting Bruce Orr to do anything. As the Inspector General found, I was completely unaware of Bruce Orr's actions.
So she was completely unaware of Orr's actions, right? Even though we know it was being directed by Obama, Sally Yates was unmasking people, and now she's sitting there saying, I was completely unaware of what Bruce Orr was doing with Nellie Orr and working to funnel information back into the FBI. And that was an employee for one of the top 4 employees of hers. That's a bunch of malarkey is what that is. So let's listen to the last part of this.
Or the Carter Page files.
I just say in conclusion, Mr. Chairman, that I seem to detect a pattern here. Ms. Yates testifies she has no idea what her deputy is doing as he facilitates contact between a political party opposition research and the FBI. She has no idea that these applications that she signed materially misled a federal court. Just as Rosenstein said, he had no idea. Nobody appears to know anything in this government, and yet somehow a federal court was deliberately and systematically misled so severely that they now say they can't trust anything that the FBI did. If this doesn't call for a cleaning of house at DOJ and the FBI, I don't know what is, and I just note that Bruce Orr is still on the payroll at the Department of Justice. Thank you, Mr.
Woo!
Chairman.
That was done. Hallie nailed it is a good summary of that for sure. Here is just another meme of all these people in jail and Trump's holding up something with Barr rubbing his hand. It says they never thought she would lose. Now they all lose. Q plus. So we are winning everywhere here. I want to make sure everybody understands that. The Trump administration to direct $35 million in grants toward housing for human trafficking survivors. So here's just a pattern you'll see over and over again of Trump taking down trafficking networks and actually helping survivors. Right? This administration has been by far the most active in this, all probably worldwide. And that is how we know that Trump is actually taking down these evil satanic pedophiles, what we'd say. Now, here's a great Twitter account to follow. It's called Wins of the Day. And so he just says, daily reminder of the wins for today, right? I don't think he's put one up for today yet. Here's what we had yesterday on the 4th. But he does a really good job. And he actually links to vote.co right here, which is another place I love. There's a lot of shills there, but it's a really good way because people vote on the best posts, and eventually the best posts kind of get up, and this is one of them. He says the first win of the day is Trump says Durham investigations is complete, and it is breathtaking and horrible. Says this on Obama's birthday. So on Obama's birthday, he talks about the Durham investigation being complete, and it's breathtaking and horrible. So that'll be really interesting. There's a little video here you'll link to in my show notes. So just go to blessed2teach.com, blessed with the number 2 teach.com, and you can sign up for the show notes and get them sent to you every morning. You'll have all the source information that I use for the show. California COVID-19 cases are decreasing. So even they even have a hard time keeping the cases go up since they spiked them so illegitimately in the past here. Senate Judiciary Committee to investigate Antifa. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Look at this. This is an ON article. They do a great job. One American News Network, one of the few places. But you'll see that Antifa is finally being investigated. So that's just some of the wins. FBI raids a Cleveland office on the Ukrainian oligarch. I'll get to that in a minute. And he says, see you tomorrow. And so you can follow this guy on Parler or here. He usually has 10 or so, but it's really cool to see the wins of the day. So please follow these type of accounts. These are the things that you need to center your mind on. And versus the media trying to scare us, trying to pull us back in, and then also their controlled opposition. There's a lot of well-meaning people reporting incorrect information about Jesus, incorrect information about just truthful things, incorrect information even about what New Age is and isn't, and then a lot of incorrect information about Trump turning bad, right? That's just not happening, guys. There's no way. There's too many victories being done underground, too many victories of submission we're seeing all over the world, too much momentum of the entire truther movement / Blexit movement / walkaway movement. It's just happening. So keep your mind on the positive, be praying in that direction, and take action as a digital soldier. Also, please take action in your local communities or wherever it is to get Donald J. Trump reelected here. Here is Colleen Huber said puzzle. A patient came in with a urinary frequency and urgency. So a patient came in with urinary frequency and urgency. Here is her urinalysis. What do you suspect is the underlying cause? I will show the answer after a dozen or so replies. And she shows the answer, and guess what it was? It was wearing a mask. Obstructed airflow keeps more carbon dioxide for extended time in masked airspace. More carbon dioxide in the lungs. So this patient wears a mask many hours per day. Here's what happened to the urine. It's not enough oxygen in your bodies. That's why if you want to fight a virus, you actually want more oxygen in your body, not less. That's why things like hydroxychloroquine work so well. That's why, and that's according to documents I've shown many times. I'll show you some more right here. That also you'll see things like MSM, hydroperoxide. So all kinds of things that can boost the immune system, boost the immune system, the oxygen in the body, and help fight viruses. You don't need a vaccination. And just like we don't have a vaccination for the cold, what you need to do is keep yourself healthy, drink lots of water, all that type of stuff they tell you all the time, plus oxygenate your body. But we have the fake news media, like here's CNN, with trying to interview people to tell you that are all telling you to please wear a mask. We've got to be more careful. And they're showing the pandemic and all the numbers they can possibly do to try to scare you. Just like Google, any 3-digit number with new cases, don't even put the word COVID in. It'll show you COVID on every single 3-digit number you use, right? So that's what they're about to try to just scare you. This is from CNN. The funny part about this is look at the guy who's interviewed. They interview a conservative, and he actually has a little thing about CNN on his T-shirt. See if you can notice it. Here we go.
Mask.
In this ultra-conservative corner of the state, masks still highly controversial.
We make any member or any customer that's walking through our doors remove their face mask. Again, that's our pride. That's also the understanding that you're...
So you make people remove the mask when they come in?
Absolutely. You do not shop my store with them.
So here we are on CNN, and they interview this guy with a T-shirt that has the communist symbol NN. That's a communist news network. I thought that was funny that they put that on the air. So that's exactly what's happening right now. I found this on Vote, right? It says, gun shop owner wears communist news network shirt for CNN interview. So this guy won't even let people in his shop unless you are maskless, right? Which kind of makes sense if somebody's, masks usually weren't an accepted thing because of the crooks usually wore those, right? So the fact that they've made them mandatory right before the riots to hide Antifa is pretty darn obvious is what's going on here. And here is an article. This is Dr. Simone Gold. So this is her opinion. She was one of the frontline doctors that's speaking truth with a lot of documentation. And here she just speaks truth. She says hydroxychloroquine has been safely prescribed hundreds of millions of times since the FDA approved it 65 years ago. CDC says it can be safely taken by pregnant women and children. The WHO calls it an essential medicine. Why is the media all of a sudden claiming it's dangerous? This is a doctor calling out the fake news. And she puts articles here. This is a full one-page article. It talks about medicines for the prevention of malaria while traveling, hydroxychloroquine. It talks all about how safe it is. Right? And here is, people are saying it's safer than Tylenol, safer than actually ibuprofen. Here's the WHO model list of essential medicines. There it is, hydroxychloroquine, even on page 53. So she's documenting exactly what she's saying here, and that was the World Health Organization model list of essential medicines. So now, obviously, the CDC and the WHO are not good organizations. These are completely run by cabal. But again, they do report on some things that they have to give some true information earlier. Now they're coming out and trying to reverse course on this, and the media is lying to you as usual, because they are the true enemy of the people. They are the protectors of the elite, and these elites are satanic pedophiles. That's why I just summarize it by the media is not only the enemy of the people, they are pedophile protectors, if you really want to get down to what they're doing. I do not want a vaccination, this person says. I only want HCQ. And you see an article here We have great fears. Our government has intentionally betrayed us and is not trustworthy. We fear the Democrats. So the whole point is that there is a movement to try to force the vaccination. And here's an article that he put here that says the 1918 Spanish flu, only the vaccinated died. So they're not Spanish flu. So this is exactly why the Bill Gates vaccination is what I think Trump's developing a different vaccination. There's several points of view here. I'm stealing this from Gene right now, and was what the whole show I did on there, where when he says the invisible enemy, he's not really talking about COVID-19. He's talking about the pedophiles, these crooks, these satanic cabal, right? And that the vaccination is a vaccination against that. So the military is mobilizing to basically arrest them, right? And or potentially assure that that we organize to be able to arrest them at a later time. So when he says vaccination is not necessarily a vaccine, it's definitely not a Bill Gates vaccine. It's definitely not the mark of the beast that people are talking about. So again, that's a fear thing that Satan wants you in. And the way we combat this fear is we as a remnant stay in faith. We ask God to heal our land. We ask God to give us the peace that transcends all our understanding. And we continue to march and act as digital soldiers. I really appreciate everything. I'm just feel so privileged to be able to talk to such awesome people, the remnant, the army of God, the red pill Christian patriots that watch this channel. And a lot of you found me. We got up to 810 people on a Wednesday night, and I'm on the main channel now. And so we've been for the last 3 months on the backup channel. So make sure if you haven't hit the subscribe button with the bell here lately, if you may have been unsubscribed. They've been doing a lot of that. This is the new channel. I mean, this is the main channel where we have like 97,500 subscribers. There's only 20,000 on that backup channel I was on the last 3 months. So just make sure that you check your subscribe and check your bell. It's got to be highlighted to get all notifications, or you're not going to get notifications on this, right? Here's a Democrat's worst nightmare. Black Trump supporter march in Los Angeles, champion, and they have a BLM, but it's Black Lives MAGA. And so Black Lives MAGA. And so it's real funny to see this, and boy, it just triggered some of these people, right? So they just bonus hashtag liberals worst nightmare, right? Black Lives MAGA. So this guy's marching around, and he's got Trump
those are the
signs.
Black Lives that matter. Not what? Nothing? No cover on old magazine? How the 10-month-old that died over on Monday? No cover on old magazine? The 11-year-old, the 5-year-old in his own crib? No cover on old magazine? What?
Silence.
Nothing. Just like silence right now.
So this guy's just screaming truth the whole time about how they're not covering all the black lives that are being destroyed by these anarchists. And they're saying that really the only black lives that matter to those people are ones that are brutalized by cops, which is an extremely low number. Went from 50 down to I think 10 in 2018. So there was a decline in this, and the statistics just are not on the side of what BLM stands for, and they are damaging black lives everywhere, worldwide actually, especially United States. Here we said, and here's these people are free. BLM is a method of control. So the truth's coming out. Let's listen to the rest of what he says.
Why are they not talking about the Epstein files?
Yeah,
Let's talk. Let's talk, you know? Because we're the only ones that talk about it.
They don't want to say anything.
Since Roe v. Wade in the 1970s, 46% of the black population killed off to abortion. But they say black lives matter.
We have been only in a demographic in the history of the world that has stayed stagnant as the population.
Go together.
So there they go. That is again, Black Lives MAGA. Right, was exactly what was going on there. That does not make people happy, obviously, and you'll see people replying to this, and it's kind of funny to see what everybody's talking. In the 1960s, 40% of blacks had their own businesses. 87% of black families were two-parent. That was in the 60s. Today, less than 7% of blacks own their businesses. And again, I think far less, if you open this up, only 25% of black families are two-parent. What changed? You have been deconstructed by the Democratic Party of America. Globalism is your enemy. The Democratic Party is your enemy. So exactly what's happened here is they sold out to globalists who were wanting to use two-party right-left fight to get you off the fact that it's really the cabal against we the people, getting us wanting to fight right and left. But right now we've cleaned up most of the Republican Party, Trump has, and so again we still have problems on the right and left, but this is a battle for globalism versus we the people. Democrats' greatest fear is right there, is black and white, no matter what color you are, coming together and understanding that we need to point our guns together at the cabal, not each other. That is exactly what's happening with the Brexit. With the Brexit movement and the walkaway movement and the QAnon movement. You combine all those together. This is a huge movement. The polls are lying to you. They want you in fear. They want you without hope. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They tried to do it in 2016. It didn't work. Do not let that work this time in 2020. I must admit, I hadn't thought of this. Finally, it all makes sense. And it's got a picture of a person just going, oh, I understand. It says the face you make when you realize they want churches and schools closed because that's where voting happens. That's right. So a lot of churches, a lot of schools obviously are used for voting, and they have you got to be scared to go in there. Hey, but it's okay to go riot or go to the governor's house and have no social distancing and a lot of times no mask. Here's another meme. Democrats did nothing about Epstein. Can't report COVID cases counts correct, but now you can think they will count mail-in ballots correct. But now you think they'll count mail-in ballots correct? So this real important point here is that we have the Epstein crowd that will do anything to get Trump out, including print ballots, cheat, do whatever they can. And obviously a United States Postal Service that the union just endorsed Biden. So you think we can really trust them to count and get our ballots where they need to be safely and securely? It's just not going to happen. That's why we have to fight that at all costs. Here is Pompeo saying, State Department offers $10 million reward for the identity and location of any person who is acting in the direction of a foreign government interferes with the U.S. elections by engaging in certain criminal cyber activities. So the whole thing about the unrigging all the stuff that they did in 2018, that's why they let that and monitored that closely to make sure that in 2020 this was secure. That's why they had to do the planned-demic to the planned riots, releasing the criminals, making the mass mandate to hide Antifa. It's all about destroying the economy, trying to get vote by mail so they can rig the election against we the people. Illinois high school teacher fired for Facebook post rejecting the idea of white privilege. So if you don't agree politically, you in your social media, it looks like certain Illinois high schools will fire you. This is the type of social justice warrior, communist thinking, and that anarchists that are actually taking over parts of this country. This is waking people up. All these things are waking people up when you see the mayors pushing and governors pushing COVID-19 positive patients into nursing home as an example, and then letting their cities burn and defunding the police are all things that are just waking up people. Even Leo on the Hannity show has flipped into being a Republican. I never thought that would happen if you listened to him just 4 months ago. It is amazing. Here is Trump again says the Lebanon blast might have been an attack. And that is really interesting. President Donald Trump is continuing to suggest the massive explosion that killed at least 135 people in Lebanon might have been a deliberate attack, even as officials in Lebanon and his own defense chief says it's believed to have been an accident. So usually when Trump is saying something that's different than what his people and what other what other fake news media are talking about, he's usually knows something behind the scene. So I imagine we'll find that horrible explosion, those of you who didn't see it, was pretty big and scary. It killed 135 people, injured a lot more. But it does show you how these planned attacks are a lot of these what we call false FLAGs. Can't say that word, but the fact is that that's what the cabal does, and they are using Antifa to try to create disruption. Now, we don't have to be scared, but one of the way you make sure you're not scared is you have proper provisions so that you're not scared in the event that you're out of power for 2 weeks, or you're in the event that Antifa comes and riots in your city for 2 weeks where you can't get to the store, or some type of other event happens to where there's not enough food for some reason, etc. And Andy Ngo is a reporter who had got beat up by Antifa before. He actually works undercover, exposing Antifa. He says, I've worked undercover for months, and I've seen with my own eyes how hundreds of so-called protesters work together to carry out acts of organized criminality against government and civilians. So he's got a video here. Let's listen to him for 43 seconds.
I have worked undercover for months in Portland and other cities, and I've seen with my own eyes how hundreds of so-called protesters work together to carry out acts of organized criminality against government and civilians. Both violent and nonviolent participants play a role. For example, Antifa, by their own admission, depend on mass numbers of peaceful protesters to act as human shields. Those privy to the organizational workings are divided into units, one to monitor police movement, one for street medics, one for vandals and arsonists, and so on. They coordinate on encrypted chat applications like Signal because they are extremely difficult for law enforcement to monitor.
So here they are using these social media platforms to organize into different units and do have specific areas. So Antifa, even though we're taking the head of it out. So the good news is we're taking the head of them out, right? The bad news is that they can create civil unrest in certain cities. So all I'm asking you to do is be prepared, right? And that's why I have food and water and have a way to protect it, right? That means not only having the proper guns, etc., also have ammunition. I know there's been a lot of discussion about, I don't feel like I need to do that. Well, I'm just asking. I think it creates a safety factor ever since I've gotten guns and ammunition and the proper food, and I feel safe, right? I know I could go 6-8 weeks with no power and no food, access to grocery stores, etc., right? And that's why I partnered with My Patriot Supply to have what we call preparewithrick.com. So it's preparewithrick.com. You will find very well priced emergency food. And now's the time to get it. It takes a while to get here because there's a huge rush for it right now, right? And so get in line now so you'll have it before the elections, especially, right? Because there's chatter, a lot of chatter of talk about them. Just like the Pussy Hat Revolution they had after the last election, it could be a much more violent time this time. I think we're going to be prepared for it. I don't think you have to be in fear, but one way to eliminate some of your fears is to make sure this is only $100 off, only $197 for a full 4-week food supply of, again, survival food that's in Mylar patches. It's 2,000 calories a day, 284 servings, breakfast, lunch, dinners, and drinks. Again, it's $100 off and free shipping and handling if you order here pretty quick. They've also got a 1-week food supply, but getting enough of that, this is an incredible deal at, again, preparewithrick.com. Also, there's a waterwithrick.com too that has a way to have a water filter that does not take electricity. It uses gravity to pull it through the filter. And if you're out of power, you're going to need that type of water filter to cook this food. So go to Water with Rick or Prepare with Rick. Let's move into some, and that's called the Alexa Pro. You'll see it there. Again, that's waterwithrick.com. Let's move into some of these other things. Republican Iraq War veteran Peter Mayer wins the Michigan district primary held by never-Trumper Justin Amash. Again, another thing just showing you winning. So never-Trumpers are being defeated because we are not in that minority. And even though the media is trying to make you think we are. So this is beautiful to see these type of things happening. And then we have people like Kayleigh McEnany here saying, where's Hunter? Where's Joe? One is hiding after a prosecutor was hired on his behalf. Another hiding in a basement. Neither fit to serve the American people. So a lot of people are being bold about what's going on right now. There's Enoch talking about it. She never thought she would lose, and a lot of people just saying, okay, enjoy. We're winning, guys, here. And they are hiding. Here's another Gateway Pundit article saying, breaking FBI raids, U.S. company with ties to Ukrainian bank tied to Hunter Biden's Burisma lost billions in IMF and U.S. funds. So again, FBI's raiding. There's things going on here that are quite exciting. And another more detailed article talks about husband of nasty Democrat representative Debbie Mucarsel Powell, who accused AG Barr of murder, was paid $700,000 by a Ukrainian oligarch. So there's all this declass is happening one little step at a time. All of it's kind of coming out one step at a time. And this is kind of funny. If you go to the website, donaldtrump.com, and find yourself a URL that does not exist, you get this screen now. It says, it appears you are as lost as me. And it's got a picture of Joe Biden. So that's master trolling by the Trump campaign. Just kind of funny. Breaking, Fox News has requested to question Julian Assange from prison for testimony relating to the Seth Rich case under the Hague Convention. So there's a full case here. You can go look at that. Again, winning. All kinds of good things happening if you look for what's going on well behind the scenes versus listening to the media's doom and gloom. And even some of these pastors with doom and gloom messages. That is not what's happening. The enemy's timeline has been denied, as Mark Taylor talks about almost every single prophecy. Here's Samantha, who's done a great job. And she's somebody that you can follow on Twitter. She says, hashtag Save the Children has been blocked by Facebook. This is unreal. So it's crazy how the fact is that this is just happening. Here, let's see if there's a poll down here. So it says, so do Facebook and Twitter support child trafficking? Hashtag Save the Children. Yes, Facebook, Twitter are guilty AF. And no, Facebook and Twitter are innocent. Maybe other. I'll put yes here. And 96.8% think Facebook and Twitter support. Because what do? They censor us who are talking about it. And they allow these others that are supportive of these type activities tweet away, Facebook away. In fact, my Facebook account, I have two, right? One is a Facebook page, and then they have a Facebook group, two separate things. The Facebook group is private. We're growing that and trying to beef that up, and they keep censoring that. So right now, I can't post anything on it. I couldn't post on it for 3 months on my own Facebook group because I shared something that they felt was wrong. It wasn't even my post. It was somebody else's post. It was another video of somebody else saying where they said Trump said I am Q. And I got off for 3 months, and now I'm off again. I don't even know why I can't post on my own Facebook group. But Facebook is heavily censoring me, just like YouTube is doing on these channels. Here's Nigel Farage reports that Britain is currently housing an estimated 48,000 illegal alien Muslim invaders in 4-star hotels, costing taxpayers billions every year. So that is the type of infiltration that they had planned here. Here's Amy Marcia talking about a little video here where I guess Trump must use a certain letter. Let's listen.
Thank you very much, everybody. This is very special. Charles Q. I like that. Q Brown Jr.
Charles Q. It talks about. Woo! You gotta love that. So let's play that again.
This is very special. Charles Q. I like that. Q Brown Jr. And your family is very proud of you. Your wife is very proud. Your sons are very proud.
So he really emphasized that. Thank you, Amy, for pointing that out. All right. Hey, I'm going to get into a Mark Taylor prophecy that's really important right now because it's about not being in fear, which is the most important thing right now for the remnant, for you, the army of God, for you, a red-pilled Christian patriot. Again, there's a lot of Christians out there that love the country but aren't red-pilled. Or there's a lot of red-pilled people that aren't Christian, right? And so it's important that being a red-pilled Christian patriot is really rare, and that is something most of this audience is. And so we are the ones that need to be praying, fasting, and really lifting the president up, lifting the white hats up, and really foreseeing where Trump wins this election and the cabal falls. That is exercising your faith as a believer versus allowing yourself to fall into fear where Satan can feed on it. That's what we need to avoid at this point in time. So hey, if you want to see everything I just showed you and get that to you every morning, especially for those of you who listen to the recording, it's real easy to go to blessed2teach.com, sign up right here for the show notes. You'll get them to you every morning U.S. time, and you can play the show right from there, as well as see all the show notes all at the same time. So that's really nice for people who watch the recordings of this video. Again, you can get that source information at blessed2teach.com, blessed with the number 2, teach.com. You can also see where the course is going to be coming up here soon, and then we'll have this is where you would join Backstage. Somebody I know said, how do I join Backstage? That's where Gene's going to be talking about the Guardians of the Pedophiles with some graphics. So don't go back there tonight. If you have a Backstage pass, only go there if you choose to know, right? So that's some of the exclusive content that Gene does once or twice a week back there, usually right after the show. That's where all those exclusives are happening. There's also an upgrade to Gene Unleashed where he does a show another 2 hours plus each month. So that gets into really deep topics. So only go there if you have a very open mind to things that most people don't understand at all. And there's also a searchy tool, a community. It's an awesome community we're starting. We're going to have on election night, we're going to have a backstage party all night. So we'll be on the air backstage most of the night. It's a great community with a Facebook functionality out there. It's a prophecies of Trump and the Trump prophecies that both Kim Clement and Mark Taylor are there and searchable on the high-speed platform as well. So those are all the stuff. You just join here and join us backstage. Again, it's only $14.77, which is 25% off a month, and you get all the way down to $8 a month with another 45% discount on top of the 25% if you pay for the year in advance. So that is another great way to get there for really cheap. Okay, so let's jump into that. Let's jump into the Mark Taylor prophecy. And this is, do not fear America. Okay, so I think this goes to everybody, though, even if you're outside America. But he's focused right here on where this war is. Now, this was back in February of 2016, way before the election. But it applies right now to us. The Spirit of God says, why do I sense fear in my people about the future of America? Have I not said that I have heard your cries and will heal your land? Stand firm. Do not falter. Put on the full armor of God. Rake the enemy over the coals. For the end time battle is on for my 1 billion souls. That's the great harvest that's coming, guys. The Spirit of God says, do not fear, for my servant Justice Scalia has been taken. For some are crying out, why have I forsaken? For I will show myself strong to prove that the so-called wise are wrong. For some will say that this is a miracle, for I am just getting started. This is not even close to the pinnacle for what I'm going to do with my America. For do not my people have eyes to see and ears to hear the 2 signs I gave when they carried my servant's body to the steps of the courthouse where to rest he was laid? Read the signs. Read the signs that were for all to see and understand the words in this prophecy. And if you hear Mark Taylor talk about that and you go listen to that, you'll see that there was sirens going on and there was also a train. So you basically could hear and see that God's rescue was coming and the Trump train was coming, right? That was the signs, I think, that was happening during Justice Scalia's funeral. It also said, and there was some, I think, misreporting about him and what happened to him and that he was involved in some of this bad stuff. But I don't think so, because what did it say? It said, because this prophecy, again, if Mark Taylor's a true prophet, which I think he is based on the truth and me testing the spirits the last 4 years, hopefully you're doing the same thing, thinking for yourself. But it said, my servant, Justice Scalia. has been taken, right? So I think he was a good guy. That's why they had to take him out. That's why the cabal had to take Justice Scalia out. Let's continue. The Spirit of God says, 5. That's right, 5 Supreme Court justices will be appointed by my new president, my anointed. I will choose 5 through my anointed to keep those alive. I will stack the court with those that I choose to send a clear message to the enemy that you lose. This is the miracle that I will perform so that my court will be reformed. Whew, that's a big statement. And so Mark, in the interview, when he was, again, even will admit, he's not the best at interpreting his prophecy sometimes. He's just the messenger. But obviously he's asked about it and studies it, etc., and works on decoding his own stuff. And the way he looked at that is that he was saying that he thought, I think 3 justices were going to be caught in corruption. Right? So we already had 2 that has been appointed, right? So you got Justice Gorsuch as well as Kavanaugh. And so I think this whole sealed indictments, I think there's 3 Supreme Court justices that are going to go down due to corruption. So they may continue to be able to keep Ruth Bader Ginsburg alive, but that won't matter because she's obviously most likely one of the 3 that will go down in some type of corruption. And I think Justice Roberts has shown himself to be compromised as well. I think will be a second one. So you can help guess and let me know what you think the third one's going to be, or if you agree with the 2 I just talked about. Let's continue. The Spirit of God says, the cries that I have heard from the womb have reached my eyes and ears like a sonic boom. The 5 I appoint and the reform shall take place, and the great I am shall take on this case. For it is my will and my way for all those that have prayed, that my court shall overturn Roe versus Wade. The Spirit of God says, America, get ready, for I am choosing from the top of the cream, for I am putting together America's dream team. From the president and then his administration to judges in Congress to ease America's frustration. The Spirit of God says, rise up, my army, and get in the fight, for this is the generation that's taking flight. This is a generation of warriors that those old wanted to see, and the enemy will have no choice but to flee. Rise up. Stomp the enemy's head with bliss. Send the enemy back to hell and into the abyss. This is a generation of warriors that all of hell has feared to face and see. But I am, and all of heaven is cheering you on with glee. Your supreme commander, God. Whew! This is powerful, and what I'm wanting you to make sure you understand is that this is not talking about violence. This is talking about being a spiritual warrior. This is talking about being a digital warrior, right? This is about taking action and standing up against this corruption, against these group of Satanists that have nearly taken over the world. When we were saved on November 6th, 2016 from virtual destruction. And the Lord's hand has been on this white hat movement, and from that time on and even beforehand. And we're going to be blowing those shofars on November 3rd this time, November 3rd, 2020, during the morning of the election. And we are going to be celebrating and watching the election results on election night on the 3rd. So get that on your calendar. We'll backstage. We'll need a backstage pass for that. But that's where the deep community is really developed, and I'm excited about that. And again, Gene will be on in a little bit here, where we will, after we go over this biblical verse and pray, and we'll be going over graphic stuff. So please don't go back there unless you have chosen to know about that topic, the guardians of the pedophiles. Now, I wanted to show you a couple things here that was real interesting to me when I look at this. When it says this, that the so-called wise are wrong, that's all these Yale and all these Rhodes scholars and all these, the way they have promoting it within government based upon your credentials of your school, when you have no real world work experience a lot of times. So Trump is looking at people that have actual credentials from a perspective of work and skills versus Ivy League diplomas. So that is going to be changing, and it's real interesting, because God's basically saying, "For I will show myself strong to prove that the so-called wise are wrong." And that's why the Bible clearly talks about the beginning of all knowledge is what? The beginning of all knowledge is fear of the Lord. So you're not supposed to have fear of anything but one thing, and that is the Lord, because then you fear his judgment, right? So you respect the fact that he is a God of love and a God of justice. You got to balance both of those. If you're not teaching the right God, if you only teach one, he's a God of love and a God of justice. And the fact is that the beginning of all knowledge is knowing that the fear of the Lord, you understand how powerful he is and how loving he is. And it's really going to be interesting to see. And it's real interesting that we are the generation, you are the generation right now that God chose. You may have chosen to be part of this right now if you took that oath with me. In fact, give me some 17s again for all those of you who took the oath, the digital oath that you will, and if you want to, even if you haven't done it yet, commit to it right now with the 17. You'll see we are working together as digital soldiers, and we're probably some of the most important ones. Because why? I think we are the most important ones because we're the remnant, the red-pilled Christian patriots, the army that he's talking about right here. He's telling you right now, he's talking to you. If you type 17 in there, and 17 means something to you, that means you most likely are exactly what he's talking about in this last paragraph. This is the generation of warriors that those of old wanted to see, and the enemy will have no choice but to flee. Rise up. This is the generation of warriors that all of hell has feared to face and see, but I am, and all of heaven is cheering you on with glee. So remember, the great I am is from Exodus chapter 3, where Moses said, "Who should I say sent me?" And he says, "Tell them, I am who I am sent you." And then later Jesus said, "Before Abraham, I am," declaring his divinity, declaring that he was there at creation, which the Bible has all kinds of verses that talk about that. He's the Word, he's the life, he's the way, and he's the great I am from Exodus 3. Jesus himself was God in flesh. That's what Emmanuel means. So that's an amazing thing to know. And that great I am, that true God of Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, that God is the one that's counting on you as a digital soldier. Look at all those 17s. I'm so proud of you guys. It means you're fighting with us, praying with us, fasting with us. Let's do this. This is an important time these next 90 days. And 2 Timothy 1:7 tells us what about the Spirit of God? It says, "For the Spirit of God does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline." So we have the self-discipline not to be violent, and we have the power to move mountains. We have the power of God, and we also have love. So for the Spirit that God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. So let's act like it, patriots. Red-pilled Christian patriots. Let's act like an army of God. Let's act like it. We are not timid. We have power, love, and self-discipline. Let me pray. Heavenly Father, just thank you so much. Wow. For 2 Timothy 1:7, letting us know that the Spirit you give us, the Holy Spirit that comes in there when we accept you as our Savior and accept that narrow path. And we know it's 100% Jesus and 0% us. The Holy Spirit comes in us, it moves into our heart. What happens then? We don't have a spirit that makes us timid. It gives us power, love, and self-discipline. Thank you for letting us know that. Thank you for joining you, Lord, in this movement of evil being exposed and destroyed right before our eyes. Thank you for letting us be part of it, Lord. Let us know how we can be part of your army of God. We say these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, hey guys, with that, I'm going to close it down here. Join us backstage in the Backstage Pass if you choose to know about some ugly stuff and get some graphics around the Guardians of the Pedophile with Gene. And tell you what, there's exciting things going on right now. Keep the faith, as Amanda would say. She's got some new great Bible studies, by the way. Check her out if you haven't checked her. But this is the time for faith and not letting Satan feed on that fear. Keep it up. God bless you. We'll talk to you next time. You've just listened to the Blessed Teach Show. You're now empowered with the truth. Don't miss the edited short B2T clips on a new channel called B2T Clips. A big thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and PayPal. You are truly appreciated. For the links to these sites, as well as links for show notes, Backstage with Blessed Teach, training courses, and more, visit blessedtoteach.com. That's blessed with the number 2, teach.com. God bless, and be sure to go empower others with the truth.